step into
Deion
other
Sanders has
HBCUs?
spent the last 35 years telling us there ain't but one Deion Sanders. And now he's telling us go find somebody else to do what Deion Sanders does. You can't have this both ways. I don't judge him for taking the job at Colorado. They probably increased his salary by something like 15 times, right? I totally get that. It all makes sense. But what he did was something that college coaches do all the time, which is you have to sell people 4-year, 10-year plans when your plan is always 1 year at a time. That's the only way that you could really pull that off. And so he came in and he sold a long-term vision for what was going on at Jackson State, but his goals and ambitions were always to be a Power 5 head coach. My take has always been he went to Jackson State primarily because he wanted to be a head coach, but didn't want to ever be anybody's assistant coach. So he had to find somebody that would give him a job and make him a head coach, and so he could have that on his resume, and then he could take that to try to get the job that he actually wanted. Jackson State was the place that could do it, and he did a lot of good work while he was at Jackson State. But all the bigger, grandiose notions of what he was doing for somebody else, no, it was what it always is. He did it for Deion, and that's fine if you don't tell us that you're trying to do this for somebody else.
But can he do both? Can't he go to a program and be there for 3 years, only have 5 losses like he did, and bring the attention? Maybe the next person won't be, prime time. They won't be as charismatic as he is, but he still did bring attention to it. And what I've seen from the athletic director and other people is they were grateful for him, and they talked about him going on, and something he signaled because of the financial disparities here.
No, he's very good, but I think the magnitude of the financial disparity is so much greater than anybody realizes. I think the magnitude of the financial disparity between HBCUs and other FCS schools, the smaller division in Division I, is bigger than people realize it is. So there's room to criticize him for the way that he has left and for the fact that his initial rhetoric is not in line with his ultimate.
Monty, what would you have him do? What would you have the man do?
Oh, well, I wouldn't have come in the first place and said that God sent me here to fix HBCUs, and God decided that in the middle of it you were supposed to leave. Right? I mean, like the thing I've said is maybe God wants 10% of $5 million and not 10% of 375. If God can do math, I can understand why it is. He sold a dream and then walked out on the dream. People have the right to be critical of that. I also would have taken the job that he took at Colorado, right? It's not a judgment of the fact that he took the job, but this is not in line with what he told us for all these years.
Hello, hello, hello in the zone. It is my new name, Sean Watson. So weird to have to say that. Yes, I'm pretty sure you're thinking to yourselves, why the hell is Chantel driving the conversation about Deion Sanders? Well, we're going to see how this goes. But I am excited. We have a completely full house, tons and tons of testosterone that's going to be in this room. And my partner in crime, that's going to be the only other piece of estrogen in the house. Gina, how you doing?
Good, girl, how are you?
Good. You ready to get this conversation rocking?
I have a totally different perspective than everybody else.
What you want to let the people know how you'll be coming into?
Yeah, I will admit that I'm not a football junkie, like by any stretch of the imagination. But what I am is an executive recruiter. And what I do is I coach companies on their talent and sometimes candidates on their career.
Are you going to give Coach Prime some advice about how he possibly should have actually exited versus what he actually did?
Well, I'll give some advice on, I'm just going to give a different perspective. Let's just say that.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start with all the virtual people. So we have our people. We'll start with a very popular commenter and regular guest of In the Zone alum, Jamal. How you doing? Thank you for joining us.
Oh, looky.
ILL. You got to unmute. You got to unmute. You got to unmute.
I'm chopping at the bit. First, shout outs
can't even help himself.
Shout outs to Bomani. That's my dude. 100% with them. The issue before the
we ain't started yet. We're just doing intros.
Okay, just you're at a 10. Right now we need you at a 2.
You just know for you gonna have time blocks. Just know that. But thank you, Jamal. I'm so happy you're here because I thought that you should have been on this show, but Brian had the foresight to actually put you on this show. Very, very wise.
We love it.
And we're gonna have some. Outside of Jamal, who we love, we have basically all testosterone. Jamal's testosterone too. And we have other podcasters. So I'm going to try to remember all the podcasts that are on here. It's a lot. It's 2, but we're going to try to keep them straight. So I'm going to move on to Jason. Hey, Jason, how you doing? bring you
you?
up. Give us a second.
How you doing? I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And on top of that, we have a whole bunch of In the Zone virgins. So I'm here to pop your cherry. You, Jason, if I'm not mistaken, are the What's Up Cuz podcast. Tell us
Yeah,
a little
that's
bit about
correct.
that.
That's correct. What's Up, Cuz podcast. We air every Monday night from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Sports Zone Chicago Roku channel and on YouTube live. And I host that show with my co-host, my real life cousin himself, Lance Irvin, who is a longtime basketball coach here in the Chicago area. Everyone knows the Irvin family, my uncle, the godfather of basketball, Mac Irvin. So we are just happy to be here. And of course, this is something we've been talking about on our show, Deion's tenure at Jackson State, actually since he got there. So I was really excited to be able to join you all tonight.
And I don't know who your cousin is, so I'm super ignorant, but perhaps I should watch your social. I could get myself up to speed with the rest of Chicago.
I'm right there with her.
All right. So now the next three gentlemen come as one package deal. Apparently, there is a fourth missing from the Chicago Clubhouse podcast. Correct, gentlemen?
That's correct.
All right, we will start with the virtual member, Terrence, who was supposed to be in studio, but I guess he
I
didn't want
couldn't
to
make
meet me in
it. I'm
person. Am I
sorry.
not pretty enough? What's going on here, Terrence?
I think it was me and my green.
So today I was working out south. So I was like in the south suburbs, like in Palos Heights, and I wouldn't have been able to make it there. So I'm at my
I hear
parents'
excuses.
house now. But I am
I'm
Team Nick. Those are my guys in there. JB, Chris. We have a podcast called the Chicago Clubhouse Podcast, where we talk to a lot of Chicago guys, a lot of Chicago Bears, former Chicago Bears, and we just have great conversation and great laughs. And we're talking about Deion today. We were talking about it for a second last night. We don't like to get too political, but on some issues, you actually have to. I don't have a shirt to show that I went to Morehouse. I graduated in '98.
I feel like you should fix that. You got a Morehouse shirt around there somewhere.
No, I'm at my parents' house. I have my
Oh,
Morehouse shirt
boo.
at my house. But this is a topic that's actually kind of dear to my heart. I don't hate on Deion, though. I don't hate on
Yeah,
Deion.
we ain't started yet. We still got people to
Okay.
so wait.
I won't get
What is
into
going
that.
on
They
with
can't
y'all?
wait. They
Jamal,
can't wait. We got a whole.
We ready. We ready.
I
That's
asked a
what it
question.
is.
I ain't starting it with you or Jamal. I'm starting with somebody calmer than both y'all. So y'all might as well just go ahead and mute now. And
But-
thank you, Terrence.
I do appreciate you all having me on, though. I appreciate it.
And since Terrence did such a fabulous job, we're going to Chris, also from the Clubhouse podcast, the Chicago Clubhouse podcast, my bad. And damn it, John.
The easiest
Done.
name in the English language.
Now look, don't charge it to my heart, charge it to my head. I suck with names.
Not gonna charge you at all.
You know what? I respect that. Thank you. So we have just all the podcasts. Make sure you check them out. I think everybody has Facebook pages. Yes, and YouTube pages. Yes. So while you're listening to us drag Deion through the mud or not drag Deion through the mud, make sure you just subscribe to all of their pages, all of their YouTube pages. And if they have websites, go look at those as well. And here comes Javen. Here we go. All right. So now that we have introed everybody in the room except the engineer, Jake. How you doing, Jake? How's it popping? You ready? Jake was probably like, I don't give a shit about this. So, in case you've been under the rock for the last 3 days, there's been a lot of hubbub about Deion Sanders choosing to leave Jackson State after 3 years and move on to a Power 5, which I don't know what the hell that means, but it's fine, to University of Colorado.
Right.
And people had some strong feelings both ways. I know people have been saying that the people who were upset at him for leaving were the butthurt ones. I feel like both sides were a bit butthurt, but that's neither here nor there. And I kind of want to get everybody's take on what their initial feelings were about it. And tell me if your feelings have evolved a bit. If they haven't, it's fine. If they have, I'd like to dig into that. Terrence and Jamal, I'm not starting with you all because you all a little too hype. We're going to start with Jason.
Well, my initial reaction of it was I wasn't really surprised. I was hoping he would stay a little bit longer, but he's in the college coaching field, and college coaches do this all the time. I think a lot of the reaction that we were seeing on Black Twitter and in social media were we had that emotional attachment to Deion. We have an emotional attachment to HBCUs. We were listening to what he was saying in terms of when he first got there. We understand that the monies that can be raised through athletics can help our HBCU institutions, which are really struggling with infrastructure just in general. So we were really hoping he would stay there a few years, perhaps take Jackson State to a bowl game to bring more revenue into Jackson State. And it just seemed like he just decided, I'm dipping, I'm out. And we will probably eventually find out all of the reasons behind it. But let's be honest, the man was donating a significant portion of his salary back to the university to help them out. And I don't know anybody personally right now who was giving half of their salary back to their employer to try to help out the company. So I think he had great intentions. I think he did the best he could with what he was working with. I think he brought a lot of infrastructure to Jackson State that they never had, like a new practice field, a new locker room, and other things. But I also think that the man also has a right to move forward with his career as well, which is to go to one of the bigger schools. He also has his children who play for him. He wanted to give them opportunities to play on a bigger stage as well, because I'm sure his children have dreams of playing in NFL, and Deion may have NFL coaching aspirations as well. So that was just my initial take on everything when it went down.
Has your position evolved since it's been 4 days? Do you still feel pretty much the same about his leaving? Have you changed your mind a bit? I know more information has come out since Saturday when this all started.
Sure. So I initially never said anything on social media because I know, just being a journalist, that a lot of time your first reaction is wrong and everybody needs to wait. Let's be honest with it. As I wrote in my article, which I published on Jay Coyden Reports this evening, PWIs, their endowment funds, for every $100 they get, HBCUs get $1. Okay, that's just a fact. The HBCU with the greatest endowment right now is Howard University. They have about $795 million. Harvard has $13 billion. That's a big difference. University of Chicago, $13 billion. Northwestern, $16 billion. These are just our local Chicago schools. That doesn't compare to our largest HBCU, like I say, which is Howard, 795. Jackson State only has $60 million. Chicago State only has $5 million. These endowments are an indictment on the leaders at these universities. It's an indictment on the members of our community, which a lot of people don't want to hear, but it's true. I see people all the time touting which school they went to. They go down for homecoming. They renting buses. They party and they kick it. You say, how much did you give to the endowment fund? It's crickets. That's on us. And then the last part of this is that a lot of these HBCUs are in states that have traditionally underfunded them for years. Jackson State is a state university. Florida A&M is a state university. Those states have not been giving them the money they're supposed to get. Last year, 4 HBCUs in Maryland won a $571 million lawsuit against the state of Maryland for back monies that they were owed. Florida A&M students just sued the state of Florida earlier this year. In the 2001, 3 HBCUs in Mississippi sued the state of Mississippi and won $501 million. The last of those payouts went last year, which included Jackson State. But if you ask me how much Jackson State put into their athletic programs from the $147 million they got from that lawsuit, the answer is not a dime.
All right. Now, which one? Oh no, which one should I let it go? All right, I'm gonna let the newbie go.
Okay.
Because I know I may have Jamal close us out. We'll see. All right, Terrence. Same question for you. What were your initial feelings, and have they evolved in the last 5 days with additional information?
I definitely I definitely don't have as much to say as Jason just did.
He gonna have to be
Well,
on
he
a.
had
He
like-
gonna have to have a time block too. Him and Jamal time blocks. Both of y'all.
Well, when I initially heard that he took the job at Colorado, I wasn't surprised because I said when he took the job at Jackson State, he ain't gonna be there long. I already knew this is like Jason said, this is what they do. You know, he just needed a platform to propel him to a Power 5 school. So I knew he was kind of using Jackson State, but we all knew that he was going to bring sponsors. He was going to bring a lot of attention to HBCUs, which I am grateful. I'm glad that he did that. But now all of that shit is going to go away. Is going to go away. The ESPN deal, eventually it might go away. All of that attention, a lot of the players are going to go, although it's not going to be as easy as they think. You can't just transfer to another school. This ain't high school, but a lot of things are going to change. And no, my feelings have not changed. I'm not mad at Deion because who's not gonna jump to $5 million for 300,000? Who's gonna say no? It's about the culture. Get your ass out of here. So everybody's gonna take that money, but it's the way he went about it. He put God in it. He said, "This is my mission." Come on, man. This is your mission for real. You stay 3 years and then you bounce the first chance you get, the first chance that was made public, because he probably had other opportunities. But this is the first made public and he took it. Well, come on, man. How does that really look? You shouldn't have said anything about God. You shouldn't have sold hopes and dreams to these families. But I mean, in order to get the job, you probably kind of have to say a little bit, you know. So, but still, it's the way he went about it. I'm not sure how he should have gone about it, but not that way.
Yeah,
Not that
you
way.
swear
So,
you
no.
weren't as wordy as Jason, but that's okay. A lot of opinions going on here. I expect everybody. So I'm not gonna repeat the question for you, John and Chris, because I'm pretty sure you're going to echo some of the same sentiments, correct? Or no?
For me, absolutely not.
Oh well, let's go.
Well, you know, Mike, tell us about it.
So I'm like this. Show of hands. Anybody told Jeff Bezos he done made too much money? Anybody told Warren
Oh, we
Buffett he
going
done
there.
made too much
We
money?
going there, huh?
No, I'm just saying that because
I mean, I would, but
but I've heard people say Deion's got enough money. What is
Yeah.
enough? So to me, that's just ignorant. Call a spade a spade. That's just ignorant. And as far as aspirations, he left Jackson State in a far better position than where it was. If anybody really follows SWAC football, they were terrible. And it wasn't just because of facilities. It wasn't just for the lack of sponsorship. I want to say Deion brought in Under Armour, which before that, I believe they were sponsored by Russell Athletics, which you could buy their stuff at Walmart. So for him to say, for people to say that, you know, he did Jackson State so wrong and just, you know, use them for whatever reason. I mean, is this really a cultural thing or is this a opportunity thing?
what do you mean by that?
Because if you say, hey, I'm staying for the black, I'm staying for the culture, I'm building up Jackson State, I'm a 10-year head coach of a team that will never get to a major bowl game, I'm a top team that will only get recruits because of the fact that my name is Primetime. Why not elevate those kids that are sitting, those 4- and 5-star recruits that are on Alabama's bench, that are on Auburn's bench, that are on Michigan bench, that would have otherwise never got a chance to play? So now I take my talents to a PWI that isn't really shit, call it what it is, Colorado. And now I get a chance to say, off the strength of me, I'm going to give you the chance to prove you play. I'm going to take some of you kids that got unfairly ranked as 2 stars at Jackson State and have to be forced, and I say that literally, forced to go to HBCU because you want to play football, because some pro-focused football idiot that is a numbers nerd calculated your first step and it's a half a tick slower, so now you're no longer a 5-star, you're a 2-star. But yet you're a hell of a ball player. Deion is going to open up those doors. Now, the difference between an HBCU and a PWI, I mean, depending on what side of the fence you went on, if you are from the era of a different world, you might say, hey, I'm black college all today because of him and this, that, and the third. Or if you're from the days of blue chips and stuff like that, you want to go to the UCLAs, Michigan States, the Michigans. You want to go to these schools because that's where you feel you may have the best opportunity to succeed at the pro level or the next level. So I think Deion can open that door, and why not? True fact, 131 Division I football programs, 12 black coaches. That's not 10%. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about getting into the pool where you can bring some revenue in and move on to the next step. Maybe get an ownership group, own a franchise. No black NFL owners. It's bigger than just build up an HBCU. We talk about sustainable and longevity and all this stuff. Well, it's got to start somewhere. That's my stance on it, and I applaud Deion Sanders and wish him well. I want him to get to the national title game in the next couple of years and whoop Nick Saban's ass.
The only thing I would challenge him with it is I thought Melody Hobson just bought the Broncos, but of course she did it with a group. It wasn't her solo.
I'm not sure if that's great, if that has just happened.
All I'm just saying is there may be one in there somewhere.
We need more.
No, I don't disagree. Just saying, you said 0. I'm like, there's at least a quarter of a black person owning the team. I'm just saying. All right, Jamal, I see you. I see your hand ringing.
He's over there.
Hand ringing. He ready to tell y'all this some bullshit. He need to be for the culture. Come on, Jamal. Give it to him.
The issue before the court today is whether the defendants, avid sports fanatics like myself, have the right to file a 3-count motion of complaint regarding the actions of Coach Prime as a sellout. If the first count, Coach Prime is guilty of setting the expectations and shifting the paradigm and evoking God. No one was mad at Coach Tucker for leaving JSU and going to Michigan State because Coach Tucker never made his job of calling from God. He was just a coach doing what coaches do. In the second count, Coach Prime is guilty of talking children out of the very same dream he himself was secretly desiring. No more dastardly a deed is there. Count 3. He played the race card, made this a HBCU versus PWI, and then like a thief in the night, left his sister's school to be with Becky with the good hair in Boulder, Colorado.
Wow, you're making a lot of accusations here.
Based on all of this reasoning, we request the court of public opinion to honor our fandom, our anti-racist proclivities, and our overall penchant for what's right, and find Coach Prime guilty of selling out in the first degree. Now, on a more serious note, it's a sad day indeed when I find myself agreeing with Jason Whitlock, of all people. I don't know if y'all know who that is, but he ain't a brother to be agreeing with.
No.
And though he was way off kilter with some of his commentary regarding Coach Prime, especially his move to JSU, but when he said the following, I'm going to need the congregation to say amen. Whitlock said, Coach Prime fake blessed us. Whitlock said, popular culture celebrated his wanderlust materialism and his sincere desire to proselytize those values to our next generation. Whitlock said, Coach Prime became an American idol and evangelist for the pleasures money can provide, legitimized his service with down-home spirituality, preaching a prosperity gospel to young athletes that made Creflo Dollar and Joel Osteen swell with pride. Whitlock said, Deion Sanders presented black college football with the incredible opportunity to build something elite and sustainable. He attracted cameras, attention, massive crowds, and the talent to the SWAC. He upgraded facilities at Jackson State. Whitlock said, beggars don't build, they beg. They complain about what the white man won't do. They support hashtag campaigns about Black Girl Magic and the Black Lives Matter. They serve their own self-interest. And finally, Whitlock said, in his meeting with Colorado players, Coach Prime oddly praised the lack of crime in Boulder. Why do that? Crime in Jackson is the obvious answer. Jackson is the capital city of America's poorest state. Jackson is 70% black. 20% of Jackson's citizens live below the poverty line. Jackson's crime rate rivals America's major cities. But Boulder, on the other hand, Boulder is 88% white. Less than 1% of Boulder's population is black. Boulder is a wealthy city with little crime. Roughly 600 students of the nearly 40,000 students are black. Jason Whitlock said, building our own requires a level of sacrifice, commitment, and vision we can't seem to muster. Said Jim Brown told him the biggest obstacle for black progress is with our habit of buying what we want and begging for what we need. Said rappers and athletes would rather buy gold chains and diamond earrings to floss in front of the poor.
Jamal.
Go on.
Rather than elevate the communities and institutions that serve the poor. 2 more sentences.
No. One. You better be concise.
Hey, if I would have heard Jason Whitlock said all that, I would have been like, man, get your ass out of here.
How about this? Here's my last piece of Coach Prime's current 16 coach staff at JSU. Only 9 were black. You think it's going to get blacker in CU? He going to help black coaches in Boulder? I rest my case. So,
Jesus Christ. Well, welcome to the show, Jamal.
Yes, it's nice to see you.
All right, Chris. I'm not going to ask you this question. I'm going to, since Jamal took 30 minutes to give his response, I'm going to lead you into a new question. You know, to Jamal's point, you didn't know who you was fucking with when the show opened, did you? Now you know. To Jamal's, one of his points, right? We do talk regularly about our accountability to the culture, our accountability to the community. Do we actually have accountability to the culture and the community? And if so, what is it?
We have accountability to the culture. Oh,
sorry. It's directional.
I know you sexy and whatnot, but we got to talk it to the mic.
Man, I don't know. This mic falling. Yeah, it's falling. Yeah,
it's a little limp for you.
You like a little limp.
Wow, a little limp. Huh?
I'm sorry. You have been on the show with me before.
I'm right here.
I'm happy to help you out. Here you go, sir.
No, that's cool.
Sexy voice into the mic.
It's tall guys' problem.
Tall guys' problem.
Yeah, tall guys.
How tall are you?
Do we have a responsibility to the culture? It depends on, saying your stance on it. Like everyone was talking about when it came down to, I don't believe in involving. Well, all right, I'll put it to you like this. When I did some research, I wanted to see Prime's first speech that he gave when he got introduced as the coach at Jackson State. And it sounded like a damn sermon. It sounded like it was at church. And I don't know what it is about us as blacks, but when we give a speech or when we're trying to say something, it's like we got to go into the church immediately to the past. Now, me, I believe in God, yes, but I don't like the whole gospel. Like, if you're trying to prove a point or trying to express something, you don't have to go into media pastor mode. Yeah, like sitting up there talking, God told me that prime time is gonna. Your whole purpose in life is to bring the HBCUs up.
Yes.
Do we have a responsibility to the culture? Yes and no. I'm gonna let somebody else talk about it, then I'll come back later on to it, because
I told you on the podcast for your opinion, right?
Yeah, but I really don't want to go. I really don't want to go into it about the whole culture thing.
Then what the
hell? I could get a little riled up about that. So.
You did just see Jamal go on for an hour about it.
Yeah, but Jamal is a look. I have a very foul mouth, so.
Welcome to the In the Zone podcast.
Bring it.
Foul mouth C.
You will not bring our mouths and
I'm
ours.
gonna pass that on to somebody.
All right,
else.
Lord have
I
mercy.
want to sort of a little bit of estrogen.
Yeah,
Yes,
please
culture. Do we have a responsibility?
Because I have a responsibility. So let me back up a little bit, and I'll tell you my perspective of where it comes from. First of all, the first thing I'll say, which kind of speaking to some of the arguments that the gentlemen have had, is that we can't define his relationship with God. And we can't talk about how he feels it is. And I'm speaking from a person who is not particularly religious, but understands how everyone has a relationship with whatever deity they support. So that's one thing. Thing two, though, and this will be more like kind of my professional opinion, which, like I said, I come from this as an executive recruiter, and I recruit in the tech space where very few people look like any of us. And I am constantly trying to bring people in who do, and it's difficult. And I don't fault him for Deion Sanders is an achiever, right? He's gotten to the top of his game in everything he's done. And maybe what he needed to use was the religious aspect to kind of motivate the people. He was obviously very effective in his Jackson State. I mean, he was effective, right? I mean, the team did well. It's probably intriguing to him partially to go into a team that kind of sucks, right? He's a turnaround guy. And we work with a lot of those where their motivation is in going in and turning things around. And it's also paving the way for other Black coaches. Now, to Jamal's point, all of his coaches aren't Black, but do they all have to be? And they all have to be, Jamal? Every single one of his coaches have got to be Black? They must so. But I'm assuming that there are some Black players on that team that are going to be uplifted by his presence. I'm assuming that there are going to be some people he brings along the way, and then why shouldn't he be rewarded for the fact that he has been at the top of his game for every single thing he's done, right? And so that's kind of how, I mean, he's going to be an inspiration. He's going to be motivated, and he's doing some things that, you know, white boys do this all the time. And this is how they create wealth. And the more wealth that Black people can create, the better off we're going to be, because then that is going to create more people who actually own something and have collateral and something and have actual equity. And so that is how I look at the whole situation. So I don't fault him.
Can we get some more testosterone back on this?
Excuse me?
Can we get some more testosterone?
God damn it, Jamal, it's enough dicks on this show. We're good.
I'm sorry.
I promise you we're good.
Are you debasing the estrogen opinion? Is
Oh,
that where we
that's
are?
right, Terrence. Welcome to In the Zone.
Just to counterpoint.
Don't be on here trying to like debase the estrogen opinion.
I am not at all.
We're making about estrogen versus testosterone.
I agree with a lot that you said, except I got one major issue. And I think Chicago attorney and civil rights activist Thomas TNT Todd said it best in the featured iconic Public Enemy song Fight the Power. I think he said, yet our best trained, best educated, best equipped, best prepared troops refuse to fight. Matter of fact, it's safe to say they would rather switch than fight. It speaks to what we owe the culture. When confronted with opportunity to re-engineer the culture under the guise of our expertise, we must fight. It goes back to the conversation you guys were having a couple of weeks ago regarding elitism. The best of us have to make it better for the rest of us. And elitism is nothing more than the belief that a select group of people are perceived as having an intrinsic quality, high intellect, wealth, power, notability, special skills, or experience. And what has come to fruition is that there was this magic moment where Coach Prime's skills and talents meshed so well with the entity and the need of everything he brought. And he said, in his own words, that that's why he was there. And miraculously, it was changing. The poorest city in Mississippi was bringing in $30 million a year. The money was about to come, but he couldn't wait. As a matter of fact, he didn't even give him a chance to renegotiate. I mean, you're a headhunter. You know, sit down at the table. Let's hear our sides. As soon as Boulder called, he was gone.
You don't know his process. You don't know that. You don't know what. For everything you see, there are probably 10 offers behind that he might have turned down at face value. You don't know what's behind it. You just know what's been talked about in the media.
What I
can tell you.
What I do know is that he got sponsorships at Jackson State. What I do know is that he changed the economy at Jackson State. And I do know that any wise businessman at Jackson State would immediately put the coins on the table to keep the golden goose. That's all he had to do.
He must do that forever then?
No, he doesn't have to do it forever,
Yeah.
but he's got to do it
Oh,
long
what
enough
would
to
you
change the
prefer?
paradigm. He's got to do it long
What's
enough.
your preference, though? What do you think he should have done? What do you think he should have done in the perfect?
And I
world?
need you to be concise.
Yeah. Brevity is the soul of wit.
Concise.
FYI.
You want to know what I think he should have done? Let me tell you a quick little story.
Oh, no, no, no,
I
no,
thought,
no,
Jamal,
no,
I
no.
said concise.
No
I didn't
stories,
no
bro.
story. We
Just
said
give me a
concise.
statement.
Listen, I'm telling you, you're gonna love this story.
No, we're
No,
not.
we're not.
You're gonna love this story. It's a
We're
great
gonna love
story.
you to tell us a statement.
All right, listen.
Answer the
Once
question.
upon a time, there was a small college in Randolph County called Trinity.
Where's the
He
difference?
still
Anybody
tells us
heard
like
of
a
Trinity?
story.
Show of hands. Anybody know Trinity? Of course not. It operated under other names going back to the pre-Civil War era. And then all of a sudden it was saved. It was going out of business and kept coming back. It was saved by this guy named John Wesley Auspaw. He just put some money into it. He brought the school to Winston, North Carolina. And then a lawyer and a publisher of a newspaper and a tobacco mogul all of a sudden took interest in it. His name was James Buchanan Buck Duke, who moved the school to Durham. And finally, in the 1920s, he built a spectacular campus and renamed the school after himself, Duke. And it wasn't until 1980 when they found this young coach named Krzyzewski that from 80 to 2022, Duke became synonymous with great basketball. Krzyzewski became synonymous with what Duke did. And this guy named Krzyzewski, who started coaching,
That's not untrue.
he started coaching in 1980.
He could have literally told us his story in like 30 seconds.
debating the
But
truth.
okay.
Listen, dude.
We said concise.
We know what you're talking about, Jamal.
Oh no! My point is, Krzyzewski didn't make $600,000 until 2001. That's 20 years after he started. And then by the time he retired in 2022, he was worth $49 million. He was getting $9 million a year. The money will come. I can tell you another story about this small.
No. But Jamal brings in an interesting question, right? Or actually, all of you all did about his legacy and has he made an impact? And I'm gonna bring Jason in, and that's an interesting question to me. In the 3 years that he was there, I think he has made an impact. But I guess my question is, is it a long legacy? Well, it's not a long legacy, but has he made a significant impact? Do we see this impact carrying to that point of Duke, right? That 20-year stint that coach, I can never say his name, but Coach K had a significant impact on Duke and making it one of Tennessee, Duke, Georgetown, Michigan. Like these are names that are synonymous with Final Four, Sweet 16. When you think of those tournaments, you think about those teams. Is he leaving that kind of legacy for Jackson State?
He's laid a foundation, and I'll say this in terms of the foundation. Jackson State has been around long before Deion. It'll be here long after Deion. What he's done, though, is he's changed the culture, not at just Jackson State, but other HBCUs, that you don't just have to focus on the band. You don't have to focus just on the halftime show. You can focus the product on the field. And far too long, many people have been going to the games basically to party and kick it and could care less about the games. And basically what he's saying is we can do both. I think that is a cultural change that HBCUs have to come to reckon with. I think once they do that, they'll start being taken more seriously in all athletic events. But someone has to be the first person through the door to try to raise that elevation. I think the HBCUs have had a tradition of it going back to Eddie Robinson with Grambling and a lot of other schools, but somehow they've kind of lost their way in recent years in terms of athletics. And we got to get that back, because for me, it's not even about the football, it's the basketball teams, because you don't need as many players to be dominant. And the truth of the matter is the HBCUs should be having 7 to 8 teams in the NCAA tournament, not just the MEAC and the SWAC representative. But again, you have to have administrators at those schools that understand that and be able to put the resources into the athletic facilities and the coaches to bring the recruits in. It's going to help you get to that level.
But Jason, what you just spoke to is why this whole Coach Prime phenomena is as big as it is. Because the worst part about Coach Prime leaving is that he burnt every bridge to all the legacy he created. He's leaving for a bum PWI because the PWI is better. He told those kids, hey, you could come to an HBCU and we can play just as good football here, and then left to the worst PWI. And the worst part about that is he had that one 5-star kid who could have went to Alabama, Florida State, or what have you. And that kid put his dream and believed in what Coach Prime was saying, when now it's apparent that Coach Prime didn't even believe it. He didn't believe it so much that the first chance he could get out, he was going. Why would any other 4 to 5-star kid come to an HBCU when the hero, the one who's got the cameras, the mic, and the audience said, nah, you know what? What's really better is this bum PWI over here that ain't won a game in 20 years.
Because of the fact of the matter is, you don't have to be a 4 or 5-star recruit to still be an excellent athlete and to get to the pros. Tom Brady was not drafted in the first round. He was not drafted in the second, the third, the fourth, or the fifth. So it doesn't really matter where you start. It's where you end up, Jamal. So yes, he did. He did set the foundation there. Now it's up to the rest of us, like I said before, to build on what he has left. That's up to all of us. We can't put it all on one person. There is no one savior in our community, and we keep trying to do that. We keep trying to find the next Martin Luther King. We keep trying to find the next this person, the next person, all of us. So you asked the question, do we all have a responsibility to the culture? Yes, we all do. Your job is to do the best you can at your particular job and to bring other people up with you when you can identify them as being able to handle the challenges of whatever line of work you are in. That is all of our responsibility to the culture.
I'm gonna have Chris, hop in.
I just want to say, did he set a blueprint, start a blueprint now, coaches?
I would think so.
But not necessarily in a positive.
Oh.
Do you set a blueprint? Now people see the blueprint like, okay, like Bohami said, Mr. Jones said that, Prime came in because this school gave him an opportunity because maybe he didn't want to be an assistant coach under anybody. So now, what makes you think that other coaches can't take advantage or try to take advantage of HBCUs that have that big name? Like, let's just say a guy, for instance, like Rob Woodson. If he decides that he wants to be a coach, what happens if he decides to go to, I don't know, Morehouse or Alabama State? Go there. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go to Alabama State, be the head coach. And then, if I do good, I get some recruits in there because I got that pizzazz and that charm. Maybe I'll sit there for 2 or 3 years and be gone. Maybe some PWI asks me to come in and be their head coach, throw me a shitload of money and be like, all right, cool. Here's the head coaching position here. Take this over. That might open up a door for other coaches to end up doing that now. So is that necessarily a good thing? Does that help the coaches? Does that help the HBCUs out? That basically all we're doing is really, instead of really helping them, all we're doing is really using them to get where it is that we want to go.
That's something I actually did think about, right? That this could set a precedent that people do go in for 3 to 5 years, make an impact, significant or not is speculative, right? Mm-hmm. And they just use it as a stepping stone to get to a Power 5 or get to the Big 10. I mean, do we see this as helpful? And you can hop in. John. Do you think that's helpful?
This is all. So I'm sorry.
Is what?
This is already happening. It's been happening.
It's been, and that's where I was going to go with it. This has been happening on a PWI level forever.
Yeah, but see, here becomes my question, right? So, just off all the newbies, I'm real anti-white, and I'm always pointing out how we like to be like white folks. But does it make sense for us to continue to do things like white people? We know our schools are struggling. Mm-hmm. We know they have a fraction of the percent of the endowment of insert any school white PWI name. Mm-hmm. Does it make sense to use the same strategies that white coasts use in the FBC? Yes, be impressed, because I didn't know what the acronym meant yesterday. Does it make sense to use those same strategies at a HBCU, knowing what we know about where they are fiscally?
So if you're speaking of just the strategy, then that's flawed in itself, right? But if you're looking at for what it actually is, right? Deion is a coach. Deion is not Malcolm X.
Right.
Deion was not brought to Jackson State to say, save black people in Mississippi. He was brought there to prove that he could coach and build up an HBCU to make it recognizable enough to say, hey, you know what? They may have something going on down there. Who are we to sit up there and hang the plight of black people on a football coach? This is not a man asking for racial equity. This is not a man asking for more money in the school systems. This is not a man that's asking for equality at the job places. He's a football coach. How many people sat up there and wanted Eddie Robinson to save the world? After Eddie Robinson came a man by the name of Doug Williams, the first Super Bowl winning black quarterback. Followed him at Grambling. Hey, he's at Grambling. Yay, nothing changes. So now a man with a little bit of flavor and cachet who built himself and his own legacy comes to a school that, and if you really want to keep it real, Brother Jamal forgot to tell you the one biggest thing about Jackson State. Didn't nobody give a damn about the football team. It was all about the sonic boom of the South.
I think he did kind of say that.
But he mentioned it, but he didn't say that was their calling card.
But that's all HBCU.
And that in lies the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If HBCUs gave more resources to getting better head coaches, now better recruiting, now you don't have to ask for one man to raise up and hold and be Atlas and hold up the community of HBCUs.
But they don't have those funds.
Clearly they do. They just are misappropriating funds all over the place. But the problem that we have is we want to put so much emphasis on one man, and maybe his goal is to, like you said, challenge himself.
Yeah.
He wants the next big challenge. Maybe he's a thrill seeker for his own self. Who in the hell do we think we are to put that on that man? Neither one of us in this studio on these screens know this man personally and know what drives him or what motivates him. You know what we do know? He's a hell of a salesman, and he's a hell of a coach as of right now. And that, hold on, Jamal, because you talk a lot. That's all.
First of all y'all fucking talk a lot, but you're not wrong.
I'm about to wrap it up because to judge him other than what he's been hired for, what are we really doing? He ain't running for president.
But do we need him to? And I'm gonna bring Terrence in because Terrence is bored now. Do we need? And actually, I'm gonna ask this question to Terrence because he may have. I assume he has an opinion. Do we need people who? Here's the thing, right? We know we need people to move the goalposts in all aspects of Black life, right? There's not going to be one person who's going to be able to do everything in sports for poor Blacks, educate. It's not going to always be. Nobody's going to be able to solve all of the Black ills. But do we need somebody to go into athletics and be Malcolm X? Do they have to be that level? Can it be somebody who's just like, I want to make a difference and do just that? Is it an unreasonable expectation that if you set that promise out, that we get upset when you don't complete your promise? That was like a couple of questions, but do your best to be concise.
Yeah.
You're muted. Whatever you pontificating on, we can't hear.
I'm gonna answer that second question first. You said if you make a promise and you don't keep it, should we be mad? Yes. Yes. If you tell me, all right, Terrence, I'm going to help you do this, help you do that, and I'm gonna put some money in your pocket. Well, if you don't do it, yeah, I'm gonna be mad. I'm like, where my money at? So I'm mad that Deion sold these kids and these families dreams. Some of these kids, they put everything on Deion. They hung everything on Deion. And Deion left. Deion's going to Colorado now. Like someone said in your chat, he left the Black girl for a white girl. So he gone now. So now you got to try to transfer, which I said before, is not that easy to do because you have to have grades. It's totally different than in high school. You just jump from school to school. So yes, I'm mad about that.
We got a bunch of people on the show. You got to be patient. I'm sorry, Terrence.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm pretty much done with that second question. I forgot what the first question was.
That was good. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna have Gina hop in because she's actually said something that I'm not gonna lie. I don't like this argument of does he have to stay forever?
Yeah, does he have to stay forever?
Coach K wasn't at Duke forever.
Like how long?
He was at 20 years is not forever. 20 years is 20 years.
But he has 20 years.
Could he have been there a few more years?
That's where he was happy.
Could he stayed a few more years?
Huh?
Could he have stayed a few more years and kind of built it up? And then
could he have done 10 years? And
then he can leave. But 3 years? I mean, he just got here. You know,
but what's the average tenure of a coach? And then he achieved, and so what's wrong with him? Okay, I've achieved this.
I think because it's what he said. It's the things that he said to make people believe that he was going to be there longer than what he was.
He
said to believe, like if you're sitting up there, if I'm a college coach, and I know for a fact that a student, you can't leave college when you trying to go into the NFL until after your junior year.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a college coach and I'm recruiting, let's say I'm recruiting John, I'm telling John, hey, come here, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to change the culture, we're going to sit up there, we're going to put Black universities on the map. Come with me. Help me do this. Sit up there and convince other guys, other 4 stars, other 5 stars like yourself. Come to this school. We're going to change the whole narrative. We're going to make sure that they notice us. Oh, yeah, man. You know, my 3rd year, about my 4th year. Yeah, man. Hey, check this out. They sit up there, hey, man. They gave me $5 million offer. I'm gone, brother.
Oh, is that Chuck? Wait, my friend's here. I have a friend coming on. Okay. You quoted him earlier, and I asked him to join. And so I want to introduce you guys to Chuck D.
Chuck D!
Hi, Eddie. I can't believe you actually joined.
Yeah, I interrupted my Nick game.
Wait, that's Bubble giving me Chuck D.
So much more.
Were they winning? Oh, they were losing.
Wait, we winning. We unsure, man. It's like, I mean, we going through some ugly ass times, man, with this with this man who did well in your city, Tibbs, but y'all want Derrick Rose back, man. We love Derrick Rose, but I mean,
ain't he kind of old?
What's old to you? How old are you?
Wait, 2 fucked up
First
knees.
of all,
How old
don't
are
do
you?
that. Respect the host, sir.
I'm respecting the host, but you asked the question about who old.
Am I
what's
too
old
old
to
to
you?
have a baby? Absolutely. Is Derrick
Okay.
Rose too old to play
Shit,
basketball?
no, you ain't.
Absolutely.
Janet Jackson had one. You can have one.
First of all, Derrick Rose is not too old.
Lady having a baby.
Derrick Rose, listen. Let me talk sports to y'all for a second. Derrick Rose started off in from y'all town when he was 19 years old after a year in Memphis. It seems like he's been playing for a very long time. He has, but he's not as old as you think he is.
Okay. How old is he? I could be mistaken.
33, 34. Somebody who probably be too young for you to date.
He got money. I
You
can
don't
make
know
concessions.
Look, Chuck, the next time you come in town, I'm introducing you to Sean.
All right, Sean.
Yo,
I got you.
I'm kidding.
I got you. I mean, it's just like I watch the Knicks game, so I get in the spirit because y'all a basketball city still. Y'all got Jordan championships and things like that, so y'all privileged and spoiled and all that. I ain't seen my team win since I was 13. I'm 62 now, so I don't want to hear nobody talk about how their team ain't won.
Well, the Lakers suck right now, so that's neither here nor there. So
they got banners up. They got banners up too. Anyway, I don't mean to interrupt. I got some minutes to say. Gina asked me to call. I'm like, I don't even know what I could gain out of this conversation. Are y'all gonna take energy from me?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, bring it. Let's go.
Jamal will.
Damn, man.
Jamal is a viper, damn it.
Damn, man. Damn, where's my energy canister at? Damn.
Hang up
Yes.
before it gets
Chuck,
bad.
what do you have an opinion on this
Of course
whole
he does.
Deion Sanders,
Next to me,
Jackson
Nicholas.
State University of Colorado debacle? Enlighten us.
Can I tell you, I'm a owner to what I think, but you get to be a slave to what you say. So usually when I hear all people talk about all that, I say, you know, I'll pass on that. Don't get me started. But
That was deep.
I have deep. This was common sense back in the 60s. Now it's called deep because we got common nonsense. Sports wise, I can add my 2 cents. First of all, over 50, who the hell want to be held to a job in the first goddamn place? Over 50. How old is Deion Sanders?
Anybody want to answer that? 'Cause I sure
50
don't know.
plus.
Right? Didn't he just have a toe removed? Y'all ain't know
Oh, he
that,
did.
right?
That's true.
Yeah, for sure.
Who the fuck want to be at a job for whatever you when you over 50, everything is year. Listen to me. When you over 50, everything is year to year.
But
you
it
don't
has
know
to be
how
a
long
college
you
year,
gonna
right?
be around. So I'll be like, you know what? I'm giving y'all this year with my energy. Next year could be a different me. Next year could be a whole different thing. Get it in now. Spread this energy. HBCUs are like they're used to it. Next man up. I'm pretty sure all these ball players that have been playing ball all this time could fill in that energy that Deion Sanders left, brought to JSU collectively. I'm affiliated because I have people I've been with in my family from JSU. Or my daughter went to HBCU. I get it. Deion Sanders, know your sports. He played at Florida State. Right across the street from Florida State is what university, y'all?
Florida A&M.
FAMU. So it's all back and forth anyway. He knew what he was bringing to JSU. You have to be a fool to think he's going to be there the next year when he was saying, I'm going to do this. But this is this year. You follow his career? Deion Sanders' career, I'm a star, meaning that if this team don't excite me or come up with a bag, I'm going on to another team. Just Jerry Jones just made a pact deal with him to keep him there. And, kept Deion happy. He went to the 49ers, remember?
Yep.
When they was winning? That's his MO in sports. So people are butthurt about Deion Sanders doing what he already did. It'd be different if Deion Sanders was 41 and said, you know what? I'm going to be here for the 3 years. Over 50, year by year, I'm telling y'all, year by year, like, yo, that was me at 51. 52, I might be somewhere else in my head and my body. He had a toe removed. Number one, I'd be angry just on that shit right there. I spent my time with y'all, and I lost a toe in this motherfucker. I put my toe in it. I'm sorry. So people are, you know who's probably butthurt about it? Students who are there. They ain't gonna stay there forever, except for your 9-year student that been there because they the mascot and shit, and they 29 and shit, and they got their degree yet. They upset. They a little butthurt over it. But really, the average person, like you don't get upset when the professor moves on and say, all right, this professor started out like, let's say at Grambling, but then I got an offer at University of Houston. You best to believe they can fuck up out of there, and you best to believe nobody give a fuck.
And Chuck, just to add what you said real quick, I mean, you see it all the time in the music industry. How often do people leave musical groups and go off and do their own thing? The group either keeps going or the group breaks up, right?
I don't even. Wait. I don't even know what. There ain't no such thing as a music industry right now. What you mean? You mean back in the day in the 80s and the 90s? I mean, man, we can't even bring that to the table, man. It's like, we talking sports. We talking professional sports. He was a coach. I came in. I built the program. Y'all got it built. I brought this energy. Keep it up. See ya. I'm gone. Now I'm going to go on this. You don't know how long he's going to stay in Colorado either.
Yeah. Turn around and leave.
That's fair. I mean,
he over 50. How old are y'all? Let me tell you. Are y'all over 50 yet?
Yep.
Who's over 50?
Raise your hand.
I mean, y'all still
all right.
think I got
Now what am I saying, right?
What
What I'm saying, bro, if somebody come along and say, you know what, man, we're going to give you a spot on GCI, man. You got to give up your podcast because nobody can have an app. Nobody can have a podcast. Mm-hmm. But, we're going to give you $10 million a year. What you going to do, dog?
You're going to go.
Go. Take that $10 million a year.
And somebody said, well, damn, it's about the money. Well, we're not talking about. Listen,
I didn't promise anything.
Listen,
I didn't promise you that.
This is what I'm saying.
Why
Listen. This ain't a glee club. It ain't the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. It ain't, it ain't pepper. Listen, this is employment, and your job this ain't volunteer work. This is employment. And when you go back, you owe your family.
I didn't say God sent me to do this.
Wait. Excuse me. What? Excuse me. What?
I'm all about fucking the white folks. Like, don't get it twisted.
So everything you do.
I say this all the time on my podcast.
Everything you do is black. While we on StreamYard. I'm on Stream. Look. We don't own the goddamn thing. Listen, we're on StreamYard. I'm on an Apple phone. I'm looking at the Knicks in Madison Square Garden, and I'm looking at black faces with white people in the audience. So my thing is, we got to figure out who we are and how our maneuvers are, and hopefully, at least collectively, have an understanding. Like the other day, I was on Trending because I said, look, collectively, it's hard for us to agree on any motherfucking one thing. However, since Elon Musk has banned people for using a swastika, then I'm saying, you know what, the easiest thing we could say is like, remove nigga, right? And everybody started getting all crazy and twisted because I said, listen, no, I was simple. I'm like, yo, dog, you ain't got nothing to do. I'm murdering the word nigga on Twitter. That rhymes, right? And cats start treating the word nigga like it's their little cousin. I ain't telling you to stop using it. I ain't taking no words out of your mouth. I'm saying we're gonna eliminate that motherfucker here. Comment said, yo, dog, I never heard it that way. I said, that's why you talking to me. Duh.
Y'all want to?
So I'm like,
you in Chicago.
You can't get.
He's hardly ever here.
I got to pay dues to Daddy Gene, then Gina, and I was at the Black Panther, party and stuff like that. So yeah, I got to pay my dues when I go to Chi. But we could hook up and do a show. But I'm honored to be on your show, and my team is still winning, so I ain't really salty yet.
Yeah, I'm finna say that's why you seem so vibrant and shit. I just looked at the score because I was gonna get on your ass if they was losing.
Hey, listen, you can't get on my ass because there ain't no ulterior motive to be a Knicks fan. You know what I'm saying? like what perks I'm getting out of being it definitely ain't no bandwagon shit, right? It's like, I mean, my team ain't won since 1973. So it ain't like, oh, I'm a Knicks fan because I'm gonna get some extra props for this shit. So you could get on me, dog. I mean, I'm used to it. I'm a Jet fan too. So I mean, go figure, right? Yeah, I know.
Spike have suffered enough, my friend.
Spike has been fighting a good fight.
We've been fighting a good fight. And then again, you got to put it in perspective, which also brings us full circle to Deion Sanders. Just not worry about these people and their business and their money. Mm-hmm. The thing that hurts us the most, we start looking at other people's pain and figure out that at the end of the day, they all hanging out in Saint Tropez. It's like, damn, I thought y'all were mad at your enemies and shit. Nah, we all hanging in the same Caribbean island on the same yacht while you mad at their adversarial differences on your game that you watch. We're watching games and shit. Now, if it's a key administrator in Jackson State that went to Stanford and basically was the person that held all the professors together, and they had a student body that was on the edge of really generating an energy across other HBCUs in science and economics and really in political study, we might have a point there. Fucking football, fuck out of here. It's fucking football. You go to HBCU game, and the biggest thing that people waiting for is halftime.
Man.
Yep. And then I'll be like, damn, y'all ain't waiting for the third quarter? Nah, we saw what we want to see. Oh, you look at the same mascot that been there since 1979, hanging out with the sophomore girls in 2022. There go the Jackson State Tiger. He gonna do the same there. Go, go, go. Listen, I spent a lot of my time in Mississippi. Gina know.
Chuck, turn around, girl. Let me see you. It's that whole thing.
Yeah, the old uncle shit. Come on, girl. The mascot. Here's the nasty Scott. Turn around, girl. Ooh, and everybody, ooh, he's a mascot. In the halftime, wait for the halftime game. And then then the second half starts and people start filing out because they saw what they wanted to see. I'm like, y'all ain't following the football team.
Nope.
Y'all following it. Y'all ain't following the spectacular. You following the spectacle.
Well, thank you, Chuck. First of all,
I can't believe you actually. Thank you for
thank
joining.
you for coming on. This is crazy. This is a crazy honor to have such a. I hate to call you like a legend, but
No, you ain't got to call me that.
profound
Listen.
human
Y'all
being.
used to watching the second most interesting person in Public Enemy. You think that I'm he's the second most interesting person in Public Enemy. Everybody else is Doomsday personality. And
No, Flay! Definitely not Chris.
Flavor's a great starter. You get three minutes out of him, and then it's fucking flatlines. I'm
he a three hit it and quit it kind of nigga.
Well,
I'm not gonna go there with that. That ain't none of my business. But I'm saying I'm an interesting motherfucker for 60 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one that finishes out of an hour. Gina knows. Gina knows. Flavor give you the first 3, and I give you the next 57.
100%.
I'll give you the next 57.
100%.
I am so honored that you took some time out of your watching
You
your
ain't got to
losing
thank
team
me.
to come and talk to us.
Hey, baby, you ain't got to thank me. Thank Gina. She
Well,
cursed me out.
I'm gonna thank her later. But it's still your.
I was like texting him like, you need to dial in on this one. I was like,
I usually don't do none of this because
I know, I'm surprised.
I don't do none of this because people like, I mean, because they get all bent out of shape. Their vertebrae start shrinking up and shit. I'm like, yo, you want me to come with it. I ain't afraid of you. Look, if you got smoke, it's only smoke. It ain't no fire. And I'm like, now you want to bring me into it. And then when I fucking deliver, you're like, oh shit. Oh my God. I didn't know that was coming. I'm like, yeah, I'm a talking motherfucker, man. For real. I'm like, I'm afraid of myself sometimes. But I'm saying it's best to like keep it low, especially y'all city where y'all shooting educators.
Oh yeah, we don't give a fuck.
Oh man, let me tell you now. That divide, that divide between old and young in Chicago, them young heads don't give a fuck.
They don't.
Because see, in other places, they be taking young hands and gaffling them. Like, yeah, you got a gun, I got a gun too, young ass. You somebody's son, come and bring your ass here. But in Chicago, it's just like,
this is why my father does not leave the house. My dad is in bubble wrap.
Man.
I'll be in orange.
And you know what? And back in the day, we taught people and go to, I'm working with the nation. So we go into Cabrini Green and Robert Taylor House. We going in the dirty where nobody want to go. And still back then you had a little bit of a bent there. But everybody just don't want to communicate with those kids. And when they start doing their drill and all that shit, they like, man, that shit has just burned itself out. One place I know that everybody in Chicago was afraid to go to, Gary. Gary was so hard. Gary was so hard. The motherfuckers in Chicago said, I'm not fucking with Gary. Gary was so hard, it burnt itself out. It out-murdered itself out. To the point you go to Gary, it's just like nobody there no more. They're going off to other places, but Gary was so hard that it's just like, yo, man, I don't care. You south side, west side, north side, the fucking the lake. You go to Gary, man, you coming back, man, on the stray dog.
I work in Gary.
Yeah. Yep. That, like say you hear people talk about New York and shit. Yeah, the Bronx, Brooklyn. Nobody's fucking with Newark.
No, but
Newark, New Jersey is like the Gary that Gary was in Chicago. That's what Newark, New Jersey. All that shit you talking, you're not going to Newark.
No, but they end the marathon in the Bronx for a reason.
Yeah.
Give you incentive to finish that motherfucker.
Yeah, it's like so like we just said, keep it cool, keep it right. Try to be able to keep teaching, when you could teach, but if it's out of hand, like it's gotta like it's so sad that it's gotta kind of like burn itself out, and you don't want we only gonna be the ones that's gonna pay. Our children and our family's gonna pay the price for a city getting back after it burns and shoots itself out. It usually happens in cities. It gets to so crazy that it shoots and burns and murders itself out. Go to Gary right now. Not only has there been a political and a systematic breaking down by the state of Indiana for their northwestern city they don't give a fuck about, but they made sure that shit burnt itself out. Y'all are still in Illinois. So Illinois has got all the ties into Chicago, one of the major cities in the world. So it's that, it's just like, all right, as long as that shit stay there and burn itself out, then we can restore our shit back to where it need to be. But that's
But I'm
just
gonna have
sad.
you back on to talk about that. I so love your energy.
I don't want to talk about that.
He doesn't want to talk about
Okay, well, you can come back and you can talk.
I joined the talk. I talked to y'all because y'all talk about Deion Sanders. So I'm like,
yeah, so we got really far off the topic.
I tell people like this. I said, number one, I'm not your teacher. I'm not your preacher. I'm not your politician. I'm a culturalist and I'm a raptivist, and I make those things happen with a blend. But I'm in the entertainment business and socio-political things that we could spread out. But then I touch and go, and if you don't get it, you just gonna miss it. But I'm fun at it. But everybody grown, and I'm not in the business of telling grown people how to think and what they should do. I think grown folks is grown folks. That's why I said in closing, once you're 50 years old, it's 1 year at a time, and that's Deion said. It's 1 year at a time with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he lost the toe. And he lost a toe.
2 toes, Chuck. Two
toes. Yeah, roll. He got 8 toes left. I gotta ask each one of y'all. If y'all lost 2 toes, what would y'all do right now?
I would live off Social Security, quite honestly.
I would not wear sandals.
There you
I would
go.
not wear sandals.
There you go. Well, one thing, you wouldn't be at the same spot. You wouldn't be at the same. You wouldn't be at the same spot 4 years in a row. Oh, you gotta be here 2 more years. Nah, man. No. Nah.
Right, well,
nah.
We're gonna wrap it up. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah, this.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the disclaimer? This point of view is not,
No, fuck that. We solicit all opinions.
Yeah,
exactly.
Your fun. It's
It's
fine.
good. We all
It's
good.
fine. It's fine.
All right, third quarter, we
I'm
made it through.
here,
Peace,
though.
y'all. Thank y'all.
All right.
Later.
Bye.
All right, guys. We're gonna wrap this
He
up.
talked a little more than I
He
anticipated.
out-talked Jamal. Who the
I know.
fuck
I was
knew
like,
that was
who
gonna-
knew? No, but Chuck's like the brother I never wanted. So when you quoted Public Enemy, I was like, all right, I'm gonna start texting him and see if he'll join. I'm
That was
surprised.
fucking Chuck D.
No doubt, big time. I'm all
Fucking
about it.
Chuck
Shout out to
D.
you, Peter. That was some shit.
He's
Man,
really
I
the
done
brother
seen
never wanted.
everything. Shit. I'm going to bed happy. I talked to Chuck D.
Yes. And okay, so we're gonna wrap up. I'm gonna give everybody. I'm time blocking all y'all because y'all all
Okay.
talk too fucking
I'm not
much.
saying anything. I'll just
Everybody,
Not
you know,
me.
you get
Not
20
me.
seconds too.
I barely fucking talk.
You know what? You're right. We're gonna start with you, Chris.
Don't start me. Let me be last. Goddamn, my shit be fast.
Now, Jamal, I'm serious. I'm looking at this motherfucking
Real
clock.
talk, 20
You
seconds.
got 2-0. Go.
Okay, I'm gonna need a couple more minutes on this one.
No.
We will mute your
I'm
ass.
gonna mute your ass. Fuck
All right,
that.
wait, you're claiming my time. In his famous, I believe, press conference, Coach Prime was asked by a reporter the amount of power that HBCUs are beginning to show. What's it mean for you to be involved with people, a movement that's become bigger than themselves, and they start to see their power? Coach Prime responded, well, I'm pretty certain, this is why I'm here, I'm pretty certain God led me to Jackson State University, to HBCU, to the SWAC. I'm pretty certain I tried to tell you. We truly believe it's going to be a change. Thought I was going to be a head coach, doing much more. So I say that to say this. Initially, I had all this passion and a little angst about Coach Prime leaving, especially because I'm a fan, and the way people become famous is because of us fanatics, right? And our sports. But the last point to this is that I had the pleasure of seeing Coach McClain. I don't know if y'all know Coach Wayne McClain, used to coach for the U of I.
5 more seconds.
He ended up coaching for Champaign Central High School his last 2 years. Everybody was shocked. It's like, why are you coaching high school right now? And it turned out he had cancer. He knew he was about to pass, and he wanted to set up a coaching opportunity for his son. So he had his son coaching with him, and it was a transition piece. I say that to say this about Coach Prime and his toes and his leg. We don't know what's going on with that man physically. He may be really trying to establish something for his boys, and he saw an opportunity and he had to jump on it quick. So shout outs to him. I hope he does well.
Okay.
Man, y'all need to give me more time. What the hell?
Done. You're done.
Jake,
We love you.
Jake,
Done.
get that spammer.
Okay, get
That
it.
spammer.
Yeah.
All right, Terrence. closing remarks. I'll give you 25 seconds.
Thanks. I am not mad at Deion for taking that money. Like I said, anybody is going to take $5 million over $300,000. However, I am mad about the way he went about it. I went to HBCU, so it's a little close to my heart. And I'm going to say to everybody watching, if you went to HBCU and you have money, please give it. That's all I got to say.
Jason?
I'll follow up on that and say, yeah, we have to support our institutions. We can't continue to just take from them and not give back to them. I will also say this: Deion Sanders didn't do anything any other coach does. They all lie to their recruits. Anybody ever joined the U.S. military? The recruiter lied his ass off to you. You said you wanted to go into the military, do one job, they gave you another job. It's just what they do. It's just part of the process. And I guess for many people, this was their first time really seeing it up close and personal, and it hit home to them because it was a HBCU. But I wish Coach Prime the best of his luck, and I hope he can inspire more young men at his next stop and wherever he goes after that.
Brief. Stop making Deion Sanders a politician. He's a coach. Applaud that man for breaking down at least one barrier that other people do not get the opportunity to do on a regular basis. And wish the man well, and stop blaming people, black people, that choose to go to PWIs over HBCUs. It's still about choice.
Oh, you were concise. Great. Chris, you can be a little less concise than John.
I get this shit over with in 20 motherfucking words. Simple as this. I'm not mad at Deion for taking the money. Hell, he had a song. What was it called? Must be the money. And I'm it. I'm done.
Wow, that was about 25 words.
Oh, Jamal, you can take some lessons from these men.
You know what I'm saying?
I love you. Gina.
I just think that everyone's got a story, everyone's got a mission. It doesn't need to be public. He gave them a taste of success, which is sometimes all people need to be able to move forward and to be able to, once you get a taste of success, you know what it is. And so I feel like he gave those players some success, and now he's moving on. Give other people a sense of success, and I don't see anything wrong with it. So.
All right. I know ITZ is very surprised that I've gave little to no opinions during this show, because that's highly unlike me. Very unlike me. No, I still have an opinion about Deion, and this is what I will say. I'm not upset with Deion for leaving. I think what I struggle with is, and it's something, I don't remember if it was Chuck or Jamal or somebody said this, is the level of commitment we have to move it forward for ourselves. I think, yes, and I'm about to hop on my white people soapbox. I think we try to until we decide that the collective has to move forward, we're never going to go anywhere. And until all of us, regardless of our employment and regardless of our career choices, make the commitment to move us all forward, then we can't be upset about the state of our community. And quite frankly, if we're disconnected, if we're disenchanted, then that's just those are the consequences of being selfish and not thinking about the collective. But I hope Deion is able to do whatever he wants to do going to Colorado. I hope that HBCUs take this as an opportunity not to whore out HBCUs, but to contribute to them in a way that actually does make them competitive and possibly a Power 5. Thank you guys for coming in. I always love. Thank you to all the newbies and the alums and Gina. Everybody's perspective was amazing. I hope you guys will come back on. Maybe we'll talk about something a little more fuck shit, perhaps. Because we talk a lot about that. But I thank everybody for watching the show. I thank Chuck D for hopping in. That was fucking amazing. And yeah, next week, I don't think I will be on the show. Brian will probably be hopping in again. I know you guys miss him, and Gina will be back. Don't know what we'll talk about, but we like surprising y'all. I like a good surprise. So can we actually close out, Jake, with that clip from Van Lathan? And we're going to end with a clip. I think this was another clip that I wanted to show, but I think it's also important to get this perspective on this Deion Sanders debacle. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a very distinct culture that exists at the HBCU. And a lot of this, to me, is illuminated of the fact that people don't understand that culture. Like for me,
I didn't go to an HBCU.
but what I mean by that is that, sure, there are things that Deion Sanders did for Jackson State. I don't know how much he did for HBCUs. Southern and Grambling play every single year after Thanksgiving on NBC. That's because of Eddie Robinson. That's because of prolonged, and I'm a Southern University fan. That's because the Bayou Classic became the linchpin game for the Black college football nation. And it's because they had the single greatest coach in Black football history. Eddie Robinson from Grambling, but from Baton Rouge. He had us on TV, on national TV,
Yes.
way before anybody came to Jackson State. I'm not saying that Deion Sanders, I'm not saying anything about Coach Prime. What I'm saying is that in order to do something and change something on the HBCU level, you have to change things systemically.
Absolutely.
Or you have to be there long enough to leave a legacy that actually leads to change. Where I'm from, we're 3 generations deep in loving Southern University.
Yeah.
And the Boombox Classic, should I say, when we play that's gonna be a big deal no matter what. Jackson State was selling out all of their games, set attendance records 2 years before Deion Sanders got there.
I believe that.
So what I'm not saying in any way that it wasn't a meaningful time, but what I'm saying, I think people are, in my opinion, overestimating or underestimating what HBCU culture is. We cared about our football, about our athletes, about all of those things